So welcome to a new series inside of Theme Park Tycoon 2 that I'll be calling Paradise Journeys. Let's begin. So, I leave Theme Park Tycoon 2 for about 2 weeks to go try to make content on Planet Coaster 2, and I completely forget how to build in this game, especially when I've been building in this game for about 3 years now. Also, I left for about 2 weeks, an update just so happens to pop up when I'm not playing. So in the time-lapse, I built the entrance for my park. As you can see here, the theming could represent some sort of history style building. I also put a compass at the front of the building that could represent some sort of travel. I also put a compass in the plaza, which points into 3 different directions, with the 4th direction pointing to the entrance of my park. Now for this series, I decided to do a smaller series, and the 3 directions that the compass is pointing to, there'll be 3 different portals. But I'll be revealing that the more and more I build the park. But in today's episode, I'll be revealing the first themed land that I'm building for my park. But however, in this video, let's reveal the first portal that I'll be building in the first area that I'll be working on for this park, called Vikings Journeys. The first thing that I think I want to do is kind of get started with the portal. Now, as I start building the entrance into the first themed land, for my park, I want to just mention that I decided to do this series in more of a freestyle form of building. This means I don't have any major plans drawn for this park, and I'm kind of building as I go. So let's begin with the first themed portal into the first themed area, which is the Viking themed area called Viking's Journeys. I think the first thing that we should do is place a wall down. Using the primitives, I think on the right side, we'll go up maybe about this high, well actually maybe a little lower, and then we can mirror it to the opposite side once I have multiple pieces down. Because I found out with the new mirror tool, you have to have one or more pieces in order to mirror an object, which makes sense because you can't really mirror one object. As I built the ceiling for the entrance into this themed area, and now with that layout of this entrance complete, let me try to make it a little more interesting here by maybe like placing a roof over this area. Here, let's try this. And I thought some sort of cool design in the middle will look really cool to kind of bring out that Viking theme that I'm going for. Which I kind of had the idea to build like this cool Viking house with a cool shield in the middle that I can put the name of the land in. But let's see how this building looks as we continue building. Now, as you can see here, this portal is kind of like similar to the Epic Universe style of theming, where each portal represents a different themed area. And I'm going to be doing that in my park too, with this area representing, like I said, the Viking themed area, and the other portals will represent something else. But I'm still undecided on what those are, but I also have a small idea of what I want to do, but I'm going to reveal it as I continue building this park. Now here I decided to go into a quick time lapse because this was actually kind of boring when I was editing this video. So as you can see here, I'm building the shield for the entrance itself, and I decided to try to give it like a wooden plank kind of texture instead of just painting it with the wooden paint texture. So as you can see here, I'm using multiple primitives, and this actually took quite a long time to place because each one had to be placed separately and evenly spaced out to make it look more like of a shield made out of wood. Here I decided to use some of the curve elements to kind of give more detail to the shield. As you can see here, I added the rim for the shield itself, as well as gave the shield some colors, which took a little bit of time. Now that we're done with that, let's get back to real time. Off screen, I kind of did a little bit. I did some of these arch apparently can't speak today, these arch style entrance, as well as I added this chimney up here on top of the building, as you can see there. Also kind of added like stuff in the middle. I'll probably put the name of this area here as well as here, so I'll probably do something like Viking Journeys or something, but I'll be doing the signage later, so I guess we'll figure it out at that point in time. Again, I'm kind of free falling this part, but anyway, let's kind of clean up this area a little bit, and then we can start on making the path into the Viking Journeys area. So let's begin. For the over here, I think what I'll do is hit up hedges. Man, for some odd reason, I'm thinking I'm in Planet Coaster 2 because I just did Control X, but that's not a function in this game. And that's basically the build function for Planet Coaster 2. But in this game, you basically can just place the item down and it will automatically move the rotation tool for you. Well, I guess playing 2 weeks of Planet Coaster 2 makes you forget everything about Theme Park Tycoon 2. Well, as I was saying, I decided on using these flower hedges here and maybe place some sort of wall behind it or something because I'm not planning on putting anything behind it. As well as you can't really see any detail there anyway. As well as I wasn't planning on putting any detail back there anyway. Now, I do know I put a hotel on the second floor of my entrance building, but I'm not planning on doing anything major with it. Maybe I'll do it like an entrance into the park from the hotel, kind of like a lot of the hotels at theme parks are doing. Oh, actually, maybe instead we can use the new rocks we got in the latest update. I think that would actually look a lot better here instead of just a plain wall. Which these rocks look really nice and definitely a great addition in the game compared to the rocks that we had earlier that we were using. Or we built our own rocks with primitives, which actually took forever and a day. Which, for reference, here's what the old rocks look like. And as you can see here, they look really horrible. Now, I'm gonna do a bit of experimenting here and let's see how many we should place down that actually look good for this area. I actually do think maybe 3 will be look well here, as well as I place some smaller rocks on the floor there, as you can see. And maybe we should change the texture of these rocks as well. Maybe basalt rock will look the best? Well, let's see. Actually, that's not looking quite good. Maybe actually we could use rough rock instead. Let me first find it. Okay, here's the rough rock. Let me paint it here. Whoa. Wow. That actually looks really good. Well, I found the rock texture that I'm using for the entire themed area for my Viking land. Maybe what I should do, now that I found the exact texture that I like a lot, I'm gonna do a few of these rough rock and then mix some basalt rock. And then we can do the same thing on the opposite side. Obviously, not the exact same. I'm gonna make it look a little bit different from the side that I just built. Now on this side, maybe I can, well, first copy the rocks over, and then maybe I can place a couple rocks down, maybe like 2 like this, and then I can copy over some of the smaller rocks that I placed on the other side and place it on the ground as well. Now I just need to move it and put it into place, something like this, and make sure it doesn't stick into the path. And then we can just move it a little bit like this. That should look good, something like that. Now it's time to place some of the hedges down, similar to how I did on the other side. Obviously, I'm not doing too much detail here because I'm not 100% sure of what's going here yet. I know on the side of the hotel, I'll be doing the hotel exit. And on this side, I'm going to do another portal to another themed land that I'll be building later on. However, I'm not revealing that yet. So, I guess you have to come back to see what I actually do here. Now with that mostly complete, let's move on to the path to the first themed area that I'm building. And for the path, we want to go back to the primitives here. Now, using the cube primitive, I decided to use this to build the path. While I'm building this path, there is definitely some considerations that I have to make, which is how do I transition the Viking path into the main entrance path. I guess a good place to start the path is probably roughly around here, and then I can curve it around this building somehow. Now, with the layout of the path complete, we have a path looking something like this. This will be like the main path in the Viking area, and I can split it off into multiple directions. But like I said, I'm freestyling this park, so I guess the more we continue building this park, we'll see where this goes. Anyway, this path basically leads to a dead end. And now that the path is complete, I decided to put rocks alongside of the back of the entrance building, and on the opposite side, I'll be placing the go-kart and other Viking themed stuff. But I'm going to be doing this in multiple episodes, so definitely come back to see what I do. Well, let's start with the rocks first. Now, for the rocks, I'm gonna get like a little bit of a layout down, and I think I'm gonna complete this section first behind this wall, and I can copy it along the path once I finish with that. Now for the rocks, I know it's currently phasing through the wall of the building. That's fine right now because I don't really have any interior in it as of right now. I think for this side will be like the hotel lobby, which is not built yet, so I'll just have to build like a divider wall later once I finish with the Viking section, or whenever I get to it, really. Man, I can't believe how well this is actually looking though. And it's definitely a lot better, like I said before, than the original rocks that we have in the game. Let me quickly finish the rock layout and then copy it over along this path, and I'll get back to, and then we can get to something more interesting, maybe like the go-kart ride itself. So, with the rocks now completed, well, parts of it anyway, let's move on to completing the path, which I still need to give it the dirt texture. For this, I used the leafy grass texture, which is the closest we have to dirt in this game. Next, I used a darker brown, which I found the most useful when making dirt colors. With that now being completed and out of the way, let's place some trees down just so I can get a general sense of what to place here and kind of give more of an outline to this area. Obviously, I'm not putting too much detail into this because I'll probably delete and change a lot of this later. I also had some issues with like a floating tree when I was doing this too, making me think I placed all the trees down as floating trees, but I was able to figure this out. Well, you get the general idea. Let's move on to the main ride that I'll be placing in this biking area, which is the new go-kart ride we got in the last update. But before we start building the new go-kart ride, I just want to mention that we got this ride 2 days ago, and in between that we actually got a mini update where now we can actually change the operations of this ride, which we can change the speed as well as different like track frictions and stuff. But that was something we didn't have when this ride first came out. Anyway, let's actually get into building this amazing ride. To start, I decided to use the track with the tires on it for this straight piece here. Next, I decided to use the tireless track, which is another thing we got in the mini update. First, let me see if I can get this trackless piece to the right angle that I want it at. I think what I want to do is kind of start with a curve at the beginning of the coaster. What am I saying? This is not a coaster, this is a go-kart ride. Yeah, I've used coaster so much in this game that I'm now just calling everything a coaster, apparently. But anyway, what I meant to be saying is, we're starting this go-kart ride by curving it to one side. Now, at this point, I'm not 100% sure of what I was doing. Again, I'm kind of just freestyling and just building as I go. What I do know is I had the idea to kind of try to make this look like a track that's like going through the mountains and maybe even like going over like a river or a lake. And then there'll be like Viking ships on the lake like docked at like maybe a town or something. So I guess you guys have to just trust the process as I continue building this go-kart ride. And as I struggle to get this road out of this hill. Which, what I can try doing is snapping it to the grid, but for some reason that is also not working as well, as I did mess with a couple of settings too. Oh, that wasn't working earlier. Why is it working now? This game is sometimes just really weird. I'm telling you, sometimes this game is just testing how far it can go until it frustrates me. Like, see? I don't even want to go uphill and it's deciding to bring my track uphill. Well, anyway, with that little disturbance, let's see if this track will like to go the way I want it to from here on out. Which I just decided to delete everything that I just did because it wasn't looking too good. And it was going in a direction that I didn't want it to go anyway. So let me see if I can find a new way, a new layout to this go-kart ride. That would be so nice if I could have just curved that, but for some odd reason that doesn't work as well. Let me try to reset and try this again. Once again, back into the curve. I just need to get this go-kart ride out of the hill and into like a flat surface. Well, it looks like I'm back into this mess again where I have to keep snapping it to the grid until I can find the right piece to make it flat again. And as you can see, this is so annoying to do because no matter what I do, it just doesn't seem to want to go flat. Once again, for some reason, it rotated itself to an angle again, which in the beginning I actually... Oh, okay, well, that just happened. I don't know why that wasn't working earlier. Well, anyway, this game is just sometimes really frustrating. Let's just move on from that annoyance. So from here on out, I decided to kind of turn it in a little bit, the go-kart, and go over this bridge, which will eventually be a river. You just have to imagine it right now because there's just nothing built at this moment in time. And as you can see here, I'm starting to build the bridge here, which is, again, you just have to imagine it because I have nothing built at this moment in time. That'll be in future episodes. The more and more I build this park, there will be more here. So as of right now, just imagine this being a river and the go-karts are going over a bridge and you're kind of just racing through the mountains as well as possibly like a Viking village or something. I guess you have to just wait and see him. So I decided to build the rest off screen because I didn't really know what to talk about anymore. And it was just getting kind of boring to watch me just build the go-karts. And it was just really slow. So I just built the rest off screen. Let me just quickly explain on what I did. And then I'll do like a POV video without the, scenery. Because that's not built yet. Kart race. So you kind of go around here. This turn. Which you saw me build. You go down here. Down this very steep hill. Through these turns here, and then you go over this bridge, which will eventually go over a river that'll build here. Once you go down here, this is everything that I built off screen. You basically turn this corner into a bank turn here as I lose control of the car. Go up this hill, and this is where you go into like the mountainous terrain. Which you're already kind of in the mountainous terrain, but this is where you get into like the bulk of the mountain. So go up here. Most of this will be like in a cave or tunnel, probably a cave. And then you come up this hill, and this will be like the very top of the mountain. And then the road will get bigger here, as you can see here. It gets really big, and then it gets smaller again, and then you go downhill, which then you go back down the hill, this steep hill, once again, around this curve here, like so. Once again, down a very steep hill that's banked a little bit through this curve right here, this will be like in a cave or tunnel, back around this curve, and then back into the station. There you go. And now I'll go into like a quick ride POV. So, I hope you enjoyed this quick ride POV with the go-karts going at the actual speed that I wanted to go. So I'm afraid that is all I have time for this episode. In this episode, we definitely built a lot, from the go-kart layout to the entrance into my park. Now, from here on out, I want to mention that my videos will become a little bit shorter, from the 22-minute episodes to the 8 to 12-minute episodes, because I'm kind of low on time. Also, I'm currently working on a series on Planet Coaster 2, so go check that out too. Link will be in the description below, as well as in the end screen of this video. Now, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one of Building Paradise Journeys.